Hi everyone, welcome to the Bourbon Obsessed Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free and money-free bourbon podcast for Monday, July 21st. I am Ed from BourbonObsessed.com, also known on Instagram as Bourbon_Obsessed. I publish bi-weekly newsletters featuring the latest bourbon news and releases, and also do this podcast version for your listening pleasure. We have a lot of new releases to discuss this week, and by a lot I mean a lot.
A lot.
So we're going to jump right in after the obligatory small talk. I'm again joined by my friend and bourbon aficionado, Dean Langdon. Dean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ed. We're just off of a tasting which I led, so we've got a little bit of brown water under our belts, which will not be obvious because we're going to be so erudite on this podcast. But
big words.
I told
it's
you,
already showing.
Erudite, folks, erudite.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of bourbons to get through this week. We should probably start on it, or we're going to run out of time.
Well, I probably want to say a little bit about some interesting things that we might have done this week.
Well, we could do that. You did some really interesting things this week. I think it was somebody's birthday this week, folks.
It was indeed. It was my birthday this week.
Birthday.
And we took the Willett estate tour, which was an absolutely remarkable experience. And we want to thank very much Nick and Mason
and Drew
for
and the folks who went with us. I mean, that was the combination of the environment, the people doing it, the people we were with. You're a lucky man to have that kind of a birthday experience with those people. So
it was
well
awesome.
Deserved, but it was great. So
and we highly recommend that tour, by the way.
yeah. If you have the chance to do the estate tour at Willett.
Tour's an understatement. It's a 3 hour and 15-minute experience where you get to see more of Willett than you ever thought you'd get to see. It's really if you're a Willett fan, it is definitely an awesome thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it included not just thieving from a barrel and opening a barrel, but filling a barrel. You'll try some things that you probably won't be able to try any other time or place. So again, highly recommended.
Yeah, it was awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Made for a fantastic birthday. All right, now let's jump into this absolutely gigantic list. All right, so we're going to start with Old Grandad 7-year-old bonded bourbon was, according to the label, crafted according to the Bottled and Bond Act, hence the name, a century-old standard requiring a spirit be distilled in a single season by a single distiller and matured for a minimum of 4 years in a government-bonded warehouse. This fine bourbon was distilled from a high rye mash bill in the spring of 2018, carefully aged for 7 years, and then cut to 100 proof to further elevate OGD's distinctively classic flavor and boldness. The suggested retail price is $40, and as we said, it's 100 proof by definition.
All Bottled and Bond products are, and so it's. You can get Old Grandad Bottled and Bond, right? That doesn't have the 7-year age statement. So this is just a little bit of an older version of that. It's a 27% rye mash bill, which is a nice proportion of rye, I think. It adds a nice spice to it. I was able to try it just last night. I tried it next to some Old Grandad 114, and I like this one better, frankly. I think I like the 7-year better than the OGD 114. Which
obviously we need to try it compared to the regular Bottled and Bond.
Yep.
But I do have them both upstairs, but that'll be another day.
That'll be a different podcast, folks. Different podcast. So.
Yes. So I'm certainly expecting it to be good. Dean's now saying it's good. And right, Old Grandad is made with that higher rye mash bill of beams, for those that don't know, same as Basil Hayden. So, and Old Grandad was Basil Hayden. So
that's right. Yep.
There you go. So yeah, a nice release at a 7-year at a $40 price point at 100 proof. So right along the lines of the reasonably priced bourbons that we're seeing these days.
And I think that, I don't know if this is a special release or if it's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be available. I think there's a lot of it. I think it's not going to be something you won't be able to find, but it might not be that it's going to be available year round. So
it's hard to know. I think it said limited release, but Old Tub was a limited release. I'm pretty sure it's still around. And that was like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I suspect it's a product that Beam is going to keep around, but yeah, we have no idea, obviously.
We don't. So Beam will let us know.
We were not included in that board meeting. Or any board meeting.
I was gonna say, you didn't get the email from Freddie? Come on.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. Me either.
All right, moving on. So next is Gold Bar Bitcoin Reserve is a limited release of 21,000 bottles, mirroring the 21 million Bitcoin cap, blending straight bourbon aged 5 to 14 years and finished in red wine casks from Sonoma and Napa. It is bottled at 93 proof and priced at $99. Gold Bar Satoshi Reserve, designated blend number 0109, commemorates January 9, 2009, the date Satoshi Nakamoto released Bitcoin version 0.1. This ultra-limited 14-year-old MGP single-barrel rye is finished in French oak red wine casks and bottled at cask strength between 115 to 123 proof, and it's priced at $699. Only 999 bottles will be released. Each Satoshi bottle includes collectible coins and VIP club access. And I believe I had read that you could actually pay with Bitcoin.
Well, if you can't pay with Bitcoin, something is seriously wrong.
Yes, you would think.
It's an interesting marketing technique to tie this to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency issues. I don't know that I have a real problem with it. I don't know that it makes the bourbon any better. A 14-year-old MGP rye single barrel, that's a good buy. I'm not going to spend $700 on it.
No, I mean a barrel proof. Yes, it's good, but that price is a bit high.
Yeah, it's a bit high. So, and it's like they have a total of 5 barrels, so that's where they're getting the 999 bottles. That's a pretty good haul for 5 14-year-old barrels.
Well, that's almost too good.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's because they're finished in the French oak red wine casks, and we don't even know the volume of those. Those could be 60s. True. And we know that they were topped off. So when people finish their whiskeys, the barrel that they're going to put in that's 14 years old isn't going to have all that much in it. But when they do the finishing and they put it in this second barrel, they usually fill it up. So that's where the 200 is coming from.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So it does make sense.
So the Satoshi Reserve bottle is engraved, and apparently you can shine a light through it and see the Bitcoin emblem. And I don't know if it projects or what it does, but it's a lot of marketing efforts for MGP juice.
Well, with all the Bitcoin that you have, $699 is nothing.
Yeah, I didn't even have the fraction of the Bitcoin that would pay for that. So anyway, shame on me.
Well, shame on both of us.
One of those hindsight things is like, man, if I would have bought 2 Bitcoin 15 years ago, right? But not so much.
If it makes you feel any better, it could be literally worth nothing tomorrow.
That's true. So on to a more perhaps established and mundane producer. How about that?
I'm not sure how mundane. So Kings County Barrel Strength Empire Rye is a high-proof New York rye whiskey made in the traditional style, using 80% Danko rye sourced from a Hudson Valley farm and 20% Golden Promise malted barley from the UK. This limited annual release features barrels aged between 4.6 and 7.6 years, drawn from 10, 15, and 53-gallon casks. It's bottled at 123 proof and priced at $99, and it meets the official Empire Rye standard, a designation reserved for rye whiskeys made entirely at a New York distillery from at least 75% New York grown grain, aged at least 2 years, and having a barrel entry proof of no more than 115 proof. In addition, it must follow all the other rules of American rye whiskey. So Empire Rye, which I think is cool because I like these styles that have rules.
Yeah, and I mean, New York is known for rye. New York and Maryland, I think, is what I think of as potentially rye
Pennsylvania.
states. In Pennsylvania, too. I like Kings County products. I'm glad to see they're doing this on an annual basis. I think this is maybe the second or third one of these. Could be even more than that. But they do a good job. They know what they're doing up there at Kings County. So,
yeah. No, I would love to try this, actually. So a number of years back, I'm always like I said, by bottled and bond or any of these kind of categories where they've got fairly strict rules. And I was in New York State and I was looking for Empire Ryes, but this was very early on, and I went into multiple liquor stores and bars, and nobody knew what I was talking about.
Right.
Well, they did not only no luck. I mean, nobody had any idea what I was asking for. Now, it wasn't in like the New York City metropolitan area, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's changed a lot now because it's gotten much more established. They made the movie about it, and all this kind of thing is going on. But I thought that was very interesting because I was going to New York, and I was very excited that I could buy these. Nothing.
No, that's disappointing. So it's a little bit interesting. I didn't know that they use smaller barrels at Kings County either. So there's some 10 and 15 gallon barrels that are blended into this. So anyway, that's an interesting concept. I always thought they were using the bigger barrels. And
I didn't know that
news to
either.
me.
I mean, I've actually would like to go there.
Mm-hmm. I would too. One of these days. A road trip, Ed.
Well, he's come to the Lexington Bourbon Society a couple of times.
Yeah.
So we've tried his things over the years, and they're actually very good. So
I like. Again,
and he's
a
Kentucky boy.
Yeah. Moved up east. Moved up to the big city.
Yeah. All right. We got too many to.
We do.
For small talk. All right, so we will try to keep moving. So, Favios and Rivera are two new Red Winter Wheat bourbons in the Rabbit Hole Distillery series. Both are finished in tawny port casks from Portugal's Douro Valley, but differ in oak type. Favios is finished in American oak and bottled at 118.9 proof, while Rivera is finished in French oak and bottled at 107.1 proof. The price was not provided, but recent Distillery Series releases have typically sold for around $50 for a 375 milliliter bottle. And these are available exclusively at Rabbit Hole, although I think they might sell these Distillery Series online at some point.
I think they do, when they have enough quantity, sell them online. Or a part of them are sold online.
Yeah.
They want to drive people to the distillery, and that makes sense. But yeah, that's, Rabbit Hole is putting out a lot of different finishes and products, and so I hope that's helping them continue to grow and to do well.
No, I mean, these sound pretty cool, really. I mean, they're pretty reasonably priced, and I always like these things. They're similar mash bill, and it's unfortunate they're not bottled at the identical proof,
right? Because
then you'd have the more direct comparison between the French oak and the American oak. But,
yeah, I mean they're close enough on proof though that there shouldn't be a huge difference there.
Right, well, just run to Louisville and pick those up, and we'll have them at the next podcast.
Okay, all right. See you guys.
Well, not now. All right.
Who's next?
Next, the Small Batch Series number 11 is the second small batch release from Copper and Cask for 2025. The 6-year-old wheated bourbon was distilled and matured in Indiana and crafted from 21 barrels filled in April 2019. The mash bill is 51% corn, 45% wheat, and 4% malted barley. It's bottled at 111.2 proof, and the release has 3,600 bottles. And the suggested retail price is around $65.
And I'm not that familiar with Copper and Cask products. I know they've been around for a while. It's an interesting mash bill. I mean, that's an awful lot of wheat. And so I'd be interested to see just how that plays out and what does that much wheat do to the bourbon flavors. That's my curiosity point on it.
I think that's a standard MGP mash bill, though. So I had brought the first small batch release of the Copper and Cask to one of the KBI bottle shares, and actually it was fantastic, and it was very, very popular. And when I had posted about Copper and Cask, which I had not tried before either,
right,
was like similar responses online. Oh, there's things I hadn't tried any, but I really like it when I've tried it. I'm actually be interested to try this one, because the last one was so good, which was I do not remember, but I'm fairly certain it was not this high wheat mash bill.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So next, Jim Beam Lineage Batch 2 is an unfiltered bourbon featuring barrels aged between 15 and 20 years. Bottled at 111 proof, this release continues the Lineage series tradition of showcasing some of Beam's oldest stocks. The original release was for travel retail only, but became available at the distillery a few years ago. I think it was during COVID when travel retail sales obviously did not do so well.
Right, yeah.
So the second release became available just this past Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning at the American Outpost at the James B. Beam Distillery in Claremont, Kentucky, and it's priced at $250. And I assume it's going to be, for the most part, distillery only, because that's how this has generally gone.
That was the impression I got, was that you're going to have to go there to get a bottle of this. And didn't get any real sense of how many bottles of it they're producing, but it looked really clear that yes, you've got to travel to Claremont to get this bottle. And what is it, 15 to 20-year-old? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah. I mean, that's
some pretty old Jim Beam juice.
At 111 proof.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'd pay $250 for it.
It'd be fun to compare that to some of the Bookers, because the Bookers have a little bit higher proof point than that usually.
But they're way younger.
Yeah, they're half that age or less, right?
Don't we have one on this list?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Booker's by the Pond coming up in a little bit. So, yeah. And they've been running 7 to 8 year mixes.
Well, they used to always be 6. Yeah, now they're generally in the upper 7s. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure this is good. I hope it lasts at the Jim Beam Outpost, because I didn't run there on Friday to get it.
Nor did I, but
as we were talking about, the last release, I'm pretty sure lasted at least 3 or 4 years, if not longer. So I have no idea how long this one will last.
It'd be nice to get some quantity information from Jim Beam. They're not very good about that. So
no, I mean, I think I'm going to wind up buying one the next time in Bardstown just to make sure that I get one. Now the thing is, they didn't always have them out in the past, which is one reason why they lasted.
So, yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to be something you can just walk in and buy, or if it's going to be periodically available. But I'll actually be at Beam on Saturday. So
we'll update you all once Ed gets back from the distillery, and he can fill us in. So,
all right, next is Old Forester 1910 Extra Old. It returns as part of the brand's 117 series, featuring a double-barreled bourbon aged an additional 24 months in a second heavily charred oak barrel. 1910 Extra Old debuted in spring 2021 as a result of an experiment of aging 1910 Old Fine whiskey for an extended finishing period, which impacted the expression's tasting profile, and Extra Old took that aging even further. Bottled at 93 proof, this limited release is priced at $64.99 and is available, and it's in 375s, which I don't actually have on here, and is available starting July 16th, so just last Wednesday,
right,
at the Old Forester Distillery, select Kentucky retailers, and online. It may still be available online. Generally, when these are available at the distillery, you can't usually just walk in and buy them. You have to take a tour, and then you can buy them. So I assume this will go the way that's been happening.
Too, although I've been seeing some of the 117 series on the shelves at liquor stores recently.
They show up here eventually.
Yeah, they do eventually. So, but if you want one sooner, it's probably, take a trip to the distillery and get it. I like how they're, making these series, and they're experimenting with their existing products. That's neat for Old Forester to do that. Their tasting notes from the website on this one were mocha coffee, brandy, and dark cherries, and that sounds lovely. I hope that it does taste like that.
Well, I'm pretty sure one of the last releases up there somewhere.
Well,
those are all 117s that nobody can see. But to add confusion to it, there's also the Extra Old.
Right. Like there's extra and extra. That's
right.
Just, so you got to keep them straight, folks.
But if you're a fan of the 1910, which is readily available, then these other ones are just adding more aging to it in a similar barrel. So if you like that flavor profile, you will probably be interested in trying these.
Right. Although they're using a heavy char on these rebarreling, so it would be interesting to see just exactly how much that, what is that drawing out? How much stronger is it making it from a taste standpoint?
I think the 1910 is supposed to be a pretty heavy char to begin with. Right. Yeah, because it's supposed to. These are the barrels, after they had their fire at the Old Forester Distillery, and they had to rebarrel what was already in the tanks. So it was supposed to have more of a char to it to remind you that it was related to the fire. Because as we know, all the things in their Whiskey Row series have the years have significance.
Yes.
Next is the 2025 batch of Old Pogue Masters Select Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey will be released in October. You may wonder why we're including it now, but that's because if you want a case, you'll need to order it now. The small batch non-chill filtered bourbon is aged 9 years and bottled at 91 proof. It features a mash bill of 70% corn, 20% rye, and 10% malted barley, all sourced from Mason County, Kentucky farmers. The bourbon is aged in 53-gallon Char 4 American white oak barrels from Independent Stave Company. The cases are $600 for 6 750-milliliter bottles, so $100 a bottle for 9 years. That's not bad, with a 1 case per customer limit. All orders must be picked up in Maysville, Kentucky. Shipping is not available, and allocation is first come, first served via the online form. And you can find that link on the Bourbon Obsessed website. If you click the link to the newsletters, you'll get to this newsletter version online, and the link is there. I could read it, but there's probably no sense in that.
and once you sign up, you'll get an email every year when sign up is open. It's possible to find this on the shelf, but it's really difficult. I can't remember the last time I saw it on the shelf at a retailer. They seem to be able to do just fine selling directly to the public in case lots at $100 a bottle. I think that's great. I mean, this is truly a family distillery. There's 2 or 3 generations involved right now. They're on the 5th or 6th generation of people. It closed down during Prohibition, but its distillery number is RD3. So it was one of the very early distilleries in Kentucky, there in Maysville.
It's a cool place, and I did not enjoy riding up that hill on my motorcycle. It's a crazy hill, like ridiculously steep.
It is on a crazy hill, and it's a steep entrance to the distillery. They've
off
changed
of a main road.
Yeah, they've changed it some as to how you get in. They put in a new parking lot. Did they change it? Yeah, they put in a new gravel parking lot, but I've got a somewhat of a sports car, and I'm always wondering, is it going to bottom out? Getting into the place. But it's a great place to visit. It's the family running it. I mean, I just, they remember me from, if you go a year or so, they remember who you are, and it's just, I don't know, I enjoy it quite a bit. And the bourbon is wonderful.
And someone is quite the fan.
Yeah, no, my beloved is we'll get our case, and I have to apportion it so it doesn't disappear all at once. But that's because it's such good bourbon.
Yeah, it is good.
And bourbon. They make a rye also called Old Maysville Club,
which is 100% malted rye.
100% malted rye, bottled and bond. I love it to death, and you can buy that also when you go out to the distillery. They have that you can buy as well as the Pogue.
Just reach up on that shelf right there.
They make some other products out there too that you can only get there, as far as I know. So.
Yep. All right. Next, Kentucky Owl Batch 13 Bourbon, which we had actually, I think, talked about at one point because it came up, but we didn't have any concrete evidence it was actually appearing, but now we do. It's the final blend crafted by master blender and Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer John Rea before his retirement. This limited edition release is a blend of 5 different bourbons, primarily featuring 8 and 9-year-old barrels. The older, higher rye bourbons contribute richness and depth, while the younger and wheated bourbons add brightness and complexity. Bottled at 113.6 proof, Batch 13 will be available beginning this month for $399 at select retailers and online.
So we talked several episodes ago about the fact that Stoli, who is a parent of Kentucky Owl, filed bankruptcy, and Kentucky Owl filed with them. I'm glad to see this release in light of the fact that they're in bankruptcy. That's a good sign. I mean, bankruptcy is used to sort of restructure companies so they keep on operating, and this is, to me, a very positive sign that is going to happen. It's a bit steep for my blood.
But that's isn't that what the last 5 releases have been?
Yeah, I don't think it's a price increase. It's just a bit, steep for what it is. So.
Well, and what makes this really unique is, Kentucky Owl, when it first came out, it was priced at $269 or something for a non-age stated bourbon that we weren't told where it came from. And at the time, that was a crazy, sorry, Dixon, but it was a very
expensive,
a very high price. Yeah. And people didn't like the fact that it was not age stated either, and you knew nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, this is the first ever age stated. The ryes have been, but the bourbons, I do not believe, have ever had age statements on them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So the fact that we're hearing an age statement now, $399 for 8 and 9 year old barrels. You know, we listened to the prices of everything else we've gone through today so far. I mean, that is clearly an outlier, but.
And I think that's part of it is a tribute to John Ria, right? Because this is his last blend he did for them, and you know, I get that. That's worth something. It doesn't necessarily help them for their future blends because he won't have made those.
Well, we don't know if there's going to be future.
Well, we don't. I
know you hear all these rumors about things like this is being released primarily to deplete stocks and liquidate some assets, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
No pun intended, really.
But I took the opportunity to research what's going on in the bankruptcy case, and they have put together a reorganization plan for both the companies. That's scheduled for a hearing before the court in Texas on August 11th, and there's some interesting detail in all this stuff. So there was a list of the different barrels they've got at Bardstown Bourbon Company. There's 35, almost 36,000 barrels that Bardstown Bourbon Company is holding for them. It's juice from all over the place. There's some Green River juice. It's not just Bardstown Bourbon Company juice. So I was going to print that out and bring it, and I failed in that. But it was an interesting glimpse into what it is that they own, because they don't produce, as far as I know. And so here, you know, we can get some glimpse into what it is they're holding that they're going to be blending in the future to come up with releases.
But wasn't Bardstown Bourbon Company one of their largest creditors?
They were.
It's over like $1 million or more that they're owed.
And the plan but interestingly provides Bardstown Bourbon Company is going to have the option of taking these barrels or some of these barrels to satisfy their debt or being paid by the end of December of next year. So I thought it was interesting to give, you know, Bardstown Bourbon the option.
Well, maybe they chose being paid, which is why these
could be they chose being paid.
Well, honestly, I mean, in today's market, the barrels are not worth what they would have been. So they may want the money over the barrels at this stage of the game.
Right.
Maybe not like 20-year-old barrels, but 8 or 9.
Yeah. So there you go, folks.
Interesting.
There's some straight off the presses information about Stoli and Kentucky Ale bankruptcy.
But personally, in spite of the price, I've always actually been a big fan, and I have not bought the recent ones, but I have tried them at half price day at Evergreen, and they are quite good. Now, $3.99 or whatever, I mean, is a lot, which is why I do not own the bottles.
Right.
But they have always been very good bourbons.
You know, have your friends get some and have them let you try it, folks.
Pick one up when you're in Louisville. Getting our rabbit hole distillery releases.
All right, we strung that one out too long too. What's up next?
We did. All right, so next is another Beam product. So Booker's Bourbon by the Pond Batch is the second 2025 release in the Booker series. Aged for 7 years, 1 month. Yeah, so we're just at the bottom end of that.
Yeah.
And 20 days. Oops, sorry. A little higher than I said. And bottled at 126.5 proof. The batch draws its name and inspiration from Booker No's backyard pond and was selected during an unusually rainy spring. It is comprised of barrels from 7 different production dates and 8 warehouse locations. The suggested retail price is $99.99, which is the standard Booker's price these days.
Yeah, and so I was looking at that and I was going, it can't be that late in the year that we're already getting the second Booker's release, but it is. It's the middle or end of July, and so this is when it comes out. And I just remember the first time I tried Booker's was about this time of year, and you're going, that's a pretty high proof for the heat of the summer, but that was part of Booker's deal was this is not something you're going to drink like it's soda. You're going to sip on this, and maybe you put a little bit of ice with it, but it's just meant to be enjoyed slowly in this type of year. So I think I love it every time they come out with one.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people opt for lighter whiskeys and lower proof ones in the summer and ice. I'm not one of those people, so
Nope.
I'm fine with drinking 126.5 proof on a 90-degree day.
Summer is for ice. Put a little bit of ice in there. That's what you need.
So these are always good. And then that's the thing. I mean, we don't actually know the age of everything in here. Are the dates on the bottle? I mean, they give you very detailed information.
They do.
But I don't think you get the dates for each one. Right.
No, they'll
so
give
all
you
we
like
know
the
is 7 years.
Warehouse and I think sometimes the mash bill, but they don't give you the age strength. Some of these are going to be older than that, right?
Exactly. That's
the
what
youngest
I was
one.
at.
Right. The youngest one is going to be 7 years.
So we don't know what the top is. It could be, I doubt it's like older than 8 or 9 because Booker's has always been the younger age, but it could be because the age statement just has to be the age of the youngest whiskey in there.
Right.
So that's the 7 years, 1 month, and 20 days. The others could be anything more.
Yeah, exactly. So.
All right. Next is Bardstown Bourbon Company.
All right.
The Bardstown Bourbon Company Hokkaido Mizunara Oak Barrel Finish is the latest small batch release in the Distillery Reserve series. This blend of 4 bourbons, aged 9 to 18 years and sourced from Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee, was finished for an extraordinary 28 months in 6 custom-crafted 66-gallon barrels made from rare Japanese Mizunara oak. The whiskey's finishing journey began in Warehouse H, where significant temperature swings led to rapid extraction and an increase in proof. The barrels were then moved to the more stable environment of Warehouse E, for flavor refinement and balance. The final expression is bottled at 109.3 proof and sold in 375 milliliter format for $99.99, $100, exclusively at Bardstown Bourbon Company's Distillery Gift Shop and Louisville Tasting Room. And that was released on this past Friday or the Friday before.
I think it was the Friday
losing
before.
Track of time, but it's being sold on Wednesdays in limited quantities until it runs out.
I was going to say, I wonder if it's already sold out, but it sounds like if they limit it
no,
to
they've
1 day
been
a week,
holding
that they hold
it.
it. Good for them. So, yeah. I mean,
well, and there's got to be a decent amount of these because they actually tell us here. So 6 custom crafted 66-gallon barrels. So 66 is big.
Yes.
We know they were topped off, so that actually was 66. But then they did sit for over 2.5 years or 2.5 years.
Right.
So they definitely lost something, but there's probably a decent number of, and then they're 375s, which I keep forgetting. So
exactly,
you double your normal bottle count.
That's a lot,
so
right?
It'll last a while. I mean, the goal, I think, when they came out with the series originally, their goal was to have, each one last until the next one came out, and so I assume that's what they're trying to accomplish with this one. And as we know, this is only the second release in the series. The first one was the Cathedral Oak, which was fantastic. And I actually just put a review of this one online today.
Awesome. Folks need to check that out. I think it's really creative that they are, using Mizunara oak. They're putting this in 66-gallon barrels instead of the normal 53. They are intentionally moving it from different rick houses and parts of the rick houses because they know what happens in those parts of the rick house. I mean, that's just the beauty of blending science and art, and Bardstown Bourbon is just so great at that.
They are. I would like to know what the story is behind these 66-gallon barrels because it says custom crafted like they're made for them. I suppose they could have been custom crafted for somebody else, but I wonder where that came from.
And did they charm at all? Or are they just Mizunara oak? Great questions.
Yeah, I don't think we know.
And we don't know the answers to that. So
well, I'll be going to the Reserves event on Friday. Maybe I can
we'll
get those answered then.
Tune in a couple of weeks, and Ed will fill us in on those questions. So just hold on to those questions.
Right. Next is Uncle Nearest 2025 Master Blend Edition. Celebrates the brand's 8th anniversary with a limited release of 8,888 bottles, symbolizing 8 years of honoring Nearest Green's legacy. Long one of the distillery's most exclusive expressions, this is the first time that the Master Blend Edition is available outside of the Nearest Green distillery. And I think people used to line up for these things. Like you had to get them there, and it was a big deal. Selected and blended by Master Blender Victoria Edie Butler, this cask strength whiskey is bottled at 59.2 ABV, 118.4 proof, priced at $149, and is rolling out in 32 markets nationwide. And some bottles are actually going to have a signature from Victoria Edie Butler herself on them.
That's neat.
So
that's a neat
that's
touch.
pretty cool because I've had some of these. Well, not some. I think I've had one and it was good. But you can't get them unless you're down there. So now you can.
I actually checked the website, and I assume there was one last year also, because they had a master's blend on the website. It said sold out. Maybe it is this year's, and they've already sold out of the online allocation, and you're going to have to go to the distillery or find it.
Or it's not available yet, and that's just a placeholder.
Could be that too. Yeah.
I don't know. I know in the past I had been interested in it, and then I saw that people were lining up all the way down the driveway, and I don't live near there, so then it sort of fell off my radar. But if they're actually available to purchase,
right, and almost 9,000 bottles, that should last for a while.
Yeah,
right?
And price point is fair for a limited edition.
Yeah,
and 118.4 proof is nice. All right, next, this one's a long one, unfortunately, because my voice won't hold down through it all, but Chord Bourbon has unveiled Volume 2, a refreshed lineup of expressions featuring new packaging inspired by vinyl records and music photography. Each bottle of the new release features energetic concert photography of musicians who embody the spirit of the liquid within, and the album-like design reflects Chord's commitment to and heritage in music. The release includes 5 whiskeys. This is why it is long. Each with a distinct style and finish. So the first is Flipside Triple Wood Bourbon, a blend of 4 to 7 year old Kentucky straight bourbons, 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley, finished 2 to 3 months in a mix of new and used toasted French and American oak barrels. That's 90 proof for $34.99. Next is Hard Pressed Bottled and Bond Bourbon, a 4-year-old bourbon made from 8% corn, 10% rye, and 10% malted barley, bottled at 100 proof for $34.99. Riot Double Bonded Rye is a blend of 2 bottled and bond rye whiskeys from MGP and Bardstown Bourbon Company, aged 4 to 7 years. Mash bill of 95% rye, 5% malted barley, and priced at $49.99. Unedited Bourbon is an uncut, unfiltered bourbon bottled at 118 proof, featuring a blend of 4-year Tennessee, 80-10-10, 6-year Indiana, 75-21-4, and 7-year Kentucky, 75-21-4 bourbons. And we don't have the price on that one, which seems odd because we have all this information about everything. I assume that was just an oversight, and I would assume it's in the same ballpark price range because the prices are all very reasonable.
Yes.
Strange Collab Pinot Noir finished bourbon is the last one. It's a 4 to 7 year old bourbon, 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley, finished 3 to 4 months in Pinot Noir barrels from Strange Family Vineyards, and a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Johnny Strange Foundation. That's 99 proof for $49.99. And the current lineup of that bottle design is being retired. So a lot, 5 new expressions.
That's a total rebrand, if you will. I don't know about rebrand, but redesign on the names, the bottles, those kinds of things. That's a pretty big move. I wonder if that ties into trying to appeal to a different generation of drinkers. The music link, the album link. Album is our generation, but there's a comeback. There's sort of a retro affinity for things like record albums these days.
But the owner of the brand is our generation too, so that's
exactly
music.
Yeah. I was interested with the Riot Double Bonded Rye, because they're both bottled and bond products, but part of bottled and bond is from the same distillery in the same season. Well, this is from 2 different distilleries.
Right.
Can you really call it bottled and bond if that happens? So
because it can't say bonded on the label unless it meets the bottled and bond requirements, and it therefore can't be at 2 different distilleries. So while that may be an accurate description, I do not believe that is...
We assume the TTB okayed it, right?
Yes.
So maybe calling it double bonded gets you over that. Who knows?
No, I was thinking we wouldn't talk about this because this would be like an entire topic in itself of how different things get labeled as bottled and bond. But it's very specific labeling requirements, and yet we find things all the time that do not necessarily meet them. So, not to call it 3-chord, but that it's interesting because your eye, because it's the first thing I thought when I read it, and then when my wife read it, it's the exact same thing. So.
And you can see that we don't pre-plan any of this, folks, by this exchange.
No.
Right? It's like, okay, it's like, yeah, so.
So that is the only thing, yes, I
There's the bourbon geekiness on that release. The next release.
As I said, I love the classifications that have all of the rules.
I do too.
All right, next is Buffalo Trace Distillery has announced the release of Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. Distillers Council, a limited edition 100 proof bourbon created using the 19th century methods pioneered by Taylor himself. Inspired by a 1996 meeting of legendary bourbon makers, the release revives Taylor's original sour mashing process. Aged just over 15 years and bottled in a Grecian-style decanter, it will be available nationwide in limited quantities for a suggested retail price of around $1,500 for a 750 milliliter bottle.
Those of you who acquire one, please send us a sample or invite us over so that we can experience it. I like the history part of this. I mean, I think it's pretty neat that they're trying to tie this not just to any particular mash bill, but some historical processes. There's a whole debate about whether, Dusty's taste different from bourbon these days, and why is that, and all that kind of stuff. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but I like how they've sort of tried to, again, make it historical, although it's a limited market at that price point. Let's be honest.
Well, 15-year-old bourbon for $1,500 is a very big outlier these days.
Yes.
So, we've seen other very expensive things come out of Buffalo Trace, Millennium most recently, at a significantly higher price point than this.
Yeah.
And the Eagle Double Rares, we see them in all the glass cabinets.
Right.
But, people must be buying them or they wouldn't keep putting them out.
You would think. It's I haven't seen any marked down, I'll say that.
No, I guess. I've seen them marked up, which is insane because you can buy them at.
I was going to say, I wonder if any of these have hit the secondary yet, and what they're bringing on the secondary. I'm not sure they're even out yet.
Not this one. I have not seen this one, but some of the other ones at the high prices. People are still marking them up, and even though they're not necessarily selling rapidly at their MSRP,
right.
So
scarcity, folks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting experiment. We will see. Right. Next, and honestly, these next ones I think are a very nice contrast to it, which is, and I did not put them in this order intentionally, but it worked out that way. So the Perfect Fifth, an American independent Scotch whiskey bottler, has unveiled 2 rare summer releases. Bear with me, folks. One of these is a bourbon. So North of Scotland, 50-year-old single-grain Scotch whiskey was distilled in 1973 at the now-closed North of Scotland Distillery and bottled in 2025. This light, floral, lowland whiskey offers tropical fruit notes and comes in a custom-made display barrel. Only 90 bottles are available, and it's ABV of 45.6, so 91.2 proof, and its suggested retail price is $915 for a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
That seemed pretty... I'm not a Scotch expert at all, but that seemed like a pretty reasonable price to me. I'm tempted to buy it.
Yeah, I look at Scotch prices on occasion, and I have a sort of a, you start at $10 a year, right? And so that'd be $5,000 on a 50-year-old Scotch. I don't think that always holds true, but even regardless of that, I see others that are in the thousands of dollars for something that's 35, 40 years old. This is, again, economically, that's an excellent price.
Now, it seems that, now, we of course don't know what it is because it's not a single malt, so it's a single grain, and we do not know what those grains are. And but nonetheless, for the age, it still seems like pretty good.
The distillery's out of business. It's not exactly an orphan barrel, but there's not going to be any more of them. So that also is a reason I have seen people raise prices. But they don't seem to be doing that for this one. So
no, it really seems sort
if you
of cool.
get one of those 900 bottles, I'd be happy to share pour.
Yeah, I'm interested in trying that.
But they've also got a bourbon, right?
Right. No, the bourbon is very interesting. So Canongate 15-year single barrel American whiskey. So they're not actually calling it a bourbon. So I don't know if it is or was, but distilled in Bardstown, Kentucky in 2009, this whiskey aged 3 years in Kentucky before aging 12 more in Scotland. Just 236 bottles are available in the U.S. ABV is 63.53. That extra decimal point makes the math in my head a little difficult at this point.
127. Let's call it 127.
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
For a suggested retail price of $185, which, again, seems pretty reasonable. And, you have to. Do you remember? Did it say, I don't believe it said bourbon.
It did not say bourbon. I went to the website to pull this up, and when you pull up this product on their website, it actually says Heaven Hill on the page for this bourbon. So
interesting.
Does that mean this is 15-year-old Heaven Hill juice with 12 years being in Scotland? That's what I implied from it.
For $185?
For $185?
At 120 proof?
Sold. Sign me up, right?
Yeah.
There's only 230 some bottles, so, act fast. But that would, again, be a bargain if that's what it is. And all I know is what the website said, so I don't take this as gospel.
Well, I wonder. That's interesting because usually Heaven Hill doesn't love their name being
attached
exactly.
To things. That's right.
Although they've made some exceptions for European release things, so that could, and this clearly was because it went there. So
right.
Maybe that's how that happened because
they
do let that happen. But the reason they don't is obviously they want their brand preserved. So if you have a Heaven Hill product, they want you to get the quality that they are standing behind, right. Whereas once they let somebody else do things with it, they can't stand behind what happens to it next. Yeah. So,
they've got a number of labels. They want you to buy their labeled products, right?
But stand behind it. I mean, you can't let other, what you don't know what people are going to do with your whiskey once they get it, and you don't want somebody having something they don't like with your name on it that you didn't actually make.
That's right. Yeah,
because you're not standing. Yeah, so that's why. But I'm totally intrigued by both of these. I would really like to. Yeah. And I actually went to a dinner for this brand. I don't know when it was now, early this year or last year, and we had one of the other Canongate releases, and it didn't have this story, but it was really good. So I think they pick very good barrels, and these prices seem very reasonable to me for what these things are.
They had the number 14 Canongate on the website. It was sold out, but it was a little bit less. It was like 175.
Yeah.
And so they seem to have a great. If they're picking well, it's a good price point.
Well, I'm gonna try to buy one of these. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but
stay tuned, folks. We'll let you know.
All right. Next is what
we've
been drinking. So Wheelhorse Whiskey has debuted its new Barrel Master Select series with a limited release of 5-year-old barrel-proof Kentucky Straight Bourbon. It's distilled at Green River Distilling in Owensboro, Kentucky, and this uncut, non-chill filtered bourbon is bottled at 112.6 proof and blends 12 hand-selected barrels aged 5 to 6 years. Only 2,100 bottles are available in select markets and online, and its suggested retail price is $39.99. This series is crafted by barrel master Stephen Corrigan with future barrel-proof expressions, including a rye, expected later this year. So again, very reasonable price point. $112.6, $40, 5 to 6 year old barrel-proof Green River, so good pedigree.
And very tasty.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this. I love the flavors I'm getting. I love the layers that are there. It was actually $44 if you wanted to order it online. So that may be just what the distillery is charging. But I mean, either way.
Well, I saw that too, and I chose to use this price. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes the brands themselves just sell it for a little higher. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have credit card fees and things like that that are included by their online, whatever platform they're selling it through, and other sales fees, and those get reflected in the price they actually put out there.
Right.
So I do not know, but it's a few. So even at 43, 44, this is reasonably priced.
2,100 bottles. So, won't be around forever.
Yeah, and I'll be doing, or maybe Dean will, be doing a full review on it. But certainly our first impressions is it's very good. All right, next. Starlight Distillery has announced the release of their first ever 10-year bourbon, crafted entirely on the Huber family estate in southern Indiana. This limited edition bourbon was produced using estate-grown grains, double pot distilled, and aged for a full decade in Mizunara. I now can pronounce that, but I can't. Icone barrels. How do you pronounce the little carrot on top of the O?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Seguin Moreau barrels. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, but these are some other special.
Yeah.
So it's spelled ICO with a little cone over the O, N-E barrels. In the warmest section of Warehouse 2. Bottled at peak maturity, each barrel was hand-selected by the Huber family to showcase the distillery's farm-to-glass ethos. The bourbon will be available starting July 26th, exclusively at Starlight Distillery in Borden, Indiana. A public release event will be held on-site beginning at 10 a.m.
That sounds like a fun event. I betcha there's no information about quantity.
No.
I bet they sell out at the event.
I would suspect that.
Yeah, I would suspect that too. The bottle it's the same bottle, but instead of a paper label, it's a clear label on the front. And that actually made it look surprisingly nicer to me. The marketing people know what they're doing. So,
yeah, I'd be excited to try this. 10 years, that's quite the accomplishment. And the Seguin Moreau barrels are a very high quality barrel. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're obviously the name is French, and so they used to make a lot of, or not used to, they make a lot of barrels for the wine industry in France, but they have an American unit that I believe is based in California. Okay. And I think that's where, although I do not know with this other name, this could be a French one for all I know. But regardless of wherever it is, they're known for their high quality barrels, and I've had a number of bourbons that were aged in those and matured in those, and they've all been very good. So
and it sounds like these have been in those barrels from the beginning, which is unique. I'm sort of seeing those as finishing barrels, not necessarily full time, but I don't remember hearing anything about Seguin Moreau barrels 10 years ago or 8 years ago.
Well, Wilderness Trail has one. I have
do they?
Over here. Yeah.
See, Ed is so much smarter than me, folks. So.
Well, I mean, they were not widely available, and honestly, I don't know how widely available they are now, and I think they have an extra cost to them. But like I said, they're very high quality barrels, so they must have earmarked these at the time, putting these in those barrels for this being their 10-year, because that is sort of a special barrel to use.
That makes sense.
Anyway, I'm sure that's fantastic. I would like to try that, like everything, but I am very interested in that. All right, next. Wolves has partnered with Willett Distillery for a limited edition release. Wolves by Willett 10-year rye whiskey. This rare blend combines 10-year-old Kentucky rye barrels selected by Willett and 10-year-old Indiana rye that spent 7 years aging in Indiana and an additional 3 years finishing in Northern California. Bottled at 103 proof and priced at $355, the collaboration highlights each brand's commitment to craftsmanship. In addition, the packaging nods to Willett's longstanding heritage, featuring the signature bird and crown emblem. The release marks the third in the series and the first to carry an age statement. It is now available online while supplies last.
Interesting collaboration.
It's their third one, though.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I actually have a bottle of the first one.
Huh. I think that's interesting because I guess
actually I'm going to get a bottle of this because I ordered it through the Total Wine Concierge program 8 months ago. And we've been wondering.
I vaguely remember that.
Yes, because we've been wondering where it is, but I'm
now you know.
Well,
they've
hopefully I will have it shortly.
Lending it. I wonder what role, if any, Drew Colesveen and Willett had in actually blending these. I suspect not much, because that's what Wolves is doing, right? But
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would suspect with their name on it, they'd have
some
input. Yes.
Right. I mean, I don't think of Willett as saying, "Okay, here's some 10-year-old barrels. Do what you want with
Seems
them."
unlikely.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
With their name on it. I mean, how many other things have Willett?
Yeah,
there was the Blackett by Willett. Otherwise, it's very rare.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I would, knowing how they feel about their whiskeys, I find it hard to believe they wouldn't have had a strong hand.
And that speaks volumes to this is probably just going to be awesome. Because, again,
don't see how it can't be.
Right. All right.
Which is why we ordered it.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Next, Old Potrero has introduced 2 new cask-finished rye whiskeys as part of its California Cellar Series, celebrating partnerships with fellow California producers. The limited 2025 releases include Old Potrero Toasted Barrel Rye Whiskey finished in Gumlag Bunchau Gewürztraminer barrels, aged 5 years, 8 months, and finished for 14 months in Gewürztraminer wine barrels and Sonoma's Gumlag. They're really trying to kill me with the pronunciation.
I just say Gewürztraminer barrels. I was going to stop at that. So
from Sonoma's Gumlag Bunchau. That's at 50. That's at 57.3 ABV, so 114.6 proof for 700 milliliters at $79.99. And the next one is way easier to pronounce. So Old Potrero Straight Rye Whiskey finished in Almanac Beer Company Imperial Stout Oak Barrels, aged 6 years, 6 months, and finished for 5 months in Old Potrero Rye barrels that previously aged the Imperial Stout from Almanac Beer Company for 8 months. And that's bottled at 57.5, so 115 proof, for 700 milliliter bottles at the same price at $79.99. And both whiskeys are now available in select markets and online. I don't think on our market, though.
I haven't seen Old Potrero products here locally.
No.
But they're out of a company called Hoteling and Company, which is a successor to a company called Anchor Brewing. And so for all our beer friends out there who may remember a beer called Anchor Steam that was, brewed in San Francisco. And I loved Anchor Steam beer. It was wonderful. And this is what it has evolved to now. A distillery, all they do is rye, as I understand it. And they're doing their own rye.
I'm pretty sure they're malted ryes too.
I think, yeah. This is 100%
in this, but
it's 100% rye mash bill.
Yeah.
So they actually, when I got online to look at these, they had a third.
There may be some behind you.
Release.
Not this one, but
yeah, they had a silver oak finish also. That's a 7-year, 3-month product, 56.6 proof. Spent 5 months in silver oak Cabernet Sauvignon barrels, and that's about $100. So. Again, interesting things. I wish we could find them here on the shelf.
Well, we visited Anchor, I don't know, 30 years ago.
Yeah, Anchor's been out of business for a while.
But they were already starting to distill back then.
Mm-hmm.
So these were already going at that point. I don't know what that was, if that's evolved into this or if that was a different whiskey.
Right.
But that distilling had been going on there for a long time.
I got the impression they have been distilling for quite some time. They're not new to the game. So,
all right, next. Lake Michigan Bourbon is a new wheated bourbon from Grand Traverse Distillery, made with a mash bill of corn, wheat, and malted barley, but they don't give us the percentages. It's bottled at 80 proof and aged just over 2 years. It's priced at $34.99, the same as the distillery's popular cherry whiskey. Designed as a smooth and affordable everyday bourbon, it's ideal for sipping or mixing in classic cocktails, according to the distillery. And it's available now at the Grand Traverse tasting rooms.
Yeah, it looked like this is only available at the tasting room.
And yeah, so probably shouldn't have included this because it's a limited release, but we were up at Grand Traverse. It was a long time ago now. There's actually a few bottles down there, and I really liked what they were doing back then, so yeah. I included it.
I think of them as a good craft distillery. The things I've tried, which have been just a few, I've liked. This came out, I think it got released at the end of June. So if you're around them, go see if there's any left, right? But,
or try their other things. I was very impressed when I was there, which was a few years ago, so I assume it's only better. and it was
Yeah.
very good then. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying it was bad. It was very good then. I would definitely go back if I ever get up to that area again.
I'd love to go visit. Yeah.
So next,
One more.
oh yeah, oh my, we've actually made it to the end of this list. Barrel Decade is the latest release in Barrell Craft Spirits Black Label series. This high-proof whiskey is a blend of whiskeys distilled annually from 1995 to 2005, hence the decade, with secondary maturation in Spanish brandy and Hungarian oak casks to enhance complexity. Distilled in Canada and crafted and bottled in Kentucky, it is bottled at 142.7 proof and priced at approximately $200. 500 bottles will be available online beginning July 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, with broader distribution rolling out to retailers nationwide.
Just another creative barrel product, right? Barrel distilling, hazmat Canadian whiskeys, that were distilled over a 10-year period, and the youngest one is now going to be almost 20 years old, right? If it was distilled in 2005, so
yeah,
wow, what sources of whiskey to blend together, and I'm so fond of how Barrell blends whiskeys. They just never seem to really have a miss.
Yeah, I think I'd like to try this, as I say, everything that
Everything.
we ever say. But again, this seems pretty reasonably priced too. $200
Right.
for 20 to 30-year-old whiskeys at 142.7 proof. I mean, Canadian whiskey is going to be generally less expensive, but this still seems like a very reasonable price.
I agree. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how much of the finishing in the brandy and the Hungarian oak comes across on the blend. Those are old whiskeys, so it doesn't say anything really about how long they were. I think they were finished in those barrels. They didn't age in those barrels for their lives.
No, it's a secondary maturation.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. It's just one of those things that we'd like to experience ourselves and learn about.
Yeah, I suspect that's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we just have our little public service announcement for those of you going to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in September. They still have a bunch of premium ticket add-ons or premium event ticket add-ons available, so you can head over to. Well, you can't get to it easily from their website, but you can find the link in your confirmation email from when you bought tickets, and click on that because it has a link on it that goes to the premium events purchase, and then you'll need your actual ticket number or invoice number to be able to purchase it, because the premium events are only available for ticket holders.
There you go.
But yeah,
and it's sold out. So we're talking to a select group, but they're a very knowledgeable and esoteric select group. So you should be looking at some of these premium events. You can only wander from booth to booth and drink so much bourbon. It's nice to get up into the Brindiamo penthouse, which is where a lot of these things are. Listen to somebody who's going to enlighten you about various aspects of bourbon.
Actually, they're mostly in the Great Tent this year because the Brindiamo Penthouse is where the President's Club has its own.
True. They got the super VIP this year, right?
So that has its own area up there.
Okay.
So it's in the Great Tent, but the Great Tent is air conditioned. So anybody who's been to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival knows that it's usually one or both of very hot and/or pouring rain.
Yeah.
So being able to go into a tent is a nice thing.
It's really nice. It's September, but it's Kentucky, folks.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But, all right. Well, that was a lot.
We've done it again.
And that about does it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Bourbon Obsessed Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast. Be sure to join us next Monday for our Bourbon and Distillery News podcast. Dean will be away, so I'll be joined by my very wonderful and very knowledgeable wife, Karen. Also, be sure to like and follow us at your preferred podcast provider so that you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to tell all your friends, too. You can also head over to bourbonobsessed.com to check out some of our over 350 bourbon reviews and over 50 distillery write-ups. While you are there, you can also sign up to have my newsletters delivered directly to your inbox. Finally, I can be found on Instagram at bourbon_obsessed and on Facebook at Bourbon Obsessed. and would love to have you follow me there as well. Dean, where can they find you?
People can still find me on Instagram under Dean of Bourbon, and I get a few followers every week, and I appreciate those of you who are following me. I'm trying to be more productive on what I post out there, so thanks for the follows, and just keep on listening to the podcast, and we appreciate everybody who finds some value in this.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again. Cheers.
Cheers.